So this is interesting. There's two things that are going on right now that are somewhat unrelated on some level, although AOC is the thread. This is an occupation in Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi's office, basically calling for efforts to fight climate change, for a new Green Deal, if you would. Strangely,
Green New Deal
attempted by Democrats and pressuring Democrats.
Fucking
and
sell
as
out.
you can see, AOC is in the office and encouraging them. Do we have sound on this?
In our future, it's so incredibly important. I've shared with you all, and I've shared my story that my journey here started at Standing Rock, and it started with everyday people doing exactly what you all were doing too. It was just standing with the Lakota Sioux, standing with allies, standing with indigenous tribes, because we don't have a choice. We do not have a choice. We have to get to 100% renewable energy in 10 years. There is no other option. The IPCC let us know that. And what I hope we all show is that this moment, and this is the rallying point, it's not just about confrontation, but in a way it's about real, meaningful unity behind our goals. That's what this is about.
That's great.
So a couple of things about this. One is sort of related. There's a lawsuit being brought against the United States by a bunch of young people that the Supreme Court last week said could go forward, suing the U.S. government essentially for failure to protect its citizens from climate change. But the value of having someone like AOC, and this may seem somewhat basic and obvious, but we would not have probably even read about that occupation of Pelosi's office was it not for the fact that she shows up there. Possible we would have had maybe gotten a press release, but there would have been no mainstream news coverage. That was from ABC.
No sizzle.
No sizzle, as it were. And it's not simply because she is a person who is involved in this. It's because she is a congresswoman-elect. She is a Democrat, and she is willing to pressure the leader of her party and to do so in a public way. And that's the way that momentum and pressure builds on, in this case, the Democrats and the congressional caucus. And this is the way it builds. And AOC is going to be a pain in the ass to a lot of people in the leadership and the establishment. And there's not a lot they can do about it because she's going to maintain her seat. She doesn't need their money. I mean, these are all the constraints that they have. And she's already built, a small caucus of support within the House. So this is the way that you take power. Do it slowly. You build upon successes, and then you translate into into getting stuff done on issues. Now, it's just a question of urgency when it comes to the Democrats. How urgent are they going to be? How dramatic are the steps that are going to be taken, or at least proposed at this point? I mean, Democrats aren't in a position to implement this stuff, at least not on a federal level. Now, another story coming out of New York. Her AOC's district, she's in Congress, doesn't have a direct authority on this, but again, you read about it, she provides cover. She starts to shape the narrative in New York. As you know, Amazon has decided, has chosen. This is like an episode
Bestowed.
it's like an episode of The Bachelorette, right? Amazon has given us, what do? They give the flower or something like that, or the ring, the red rose?
Rose.
Amazon has given the red rose to a place in Virginia, essentially greater Washington metro area, and to Long Island City, Queens, has bequeathed, I guess, half a rose to each. That the new second Amazon headquarters will come to your state, New York. You're welcome, in exchange for up to $1 billion in tax incentives. Now, understand that, just want to be clear about this. When you give a company like that $1 billion, or any company, or any institution, frankly, $1 billion worth of tax incentives, you're costing the state $1 billion. Particularly, Long Island City, it's not like this is, we don't know what to do with this territory here. Maybe we should have farmland, or maybe, we're just going to, this is extremely valuable property.
Community garden.
Farmland
Community
would be
gardens.
much more productive
Right.
for the people of New York City.
And nationalized housing.
Well,
Right.
you would actually still get benefits out of it. And to give $1 billion worth of tax incentives costs you $1 billion. And it's not, listen, I don't know what kind of jobs are going to be there, but who they're going to hire. If they bring in new people, all it's going to do is raise the cost of housing even more in a place that's already prohibitively expensive to live. And you're going to drive more people out.
I don't know if these figures are right, but someone was ballparking like a $40K per job subsidy for a $120K job is going to just drive up prices. You're subsidizing a rent increase for everybody.
Of
yeah,
course.
but
Also,
enjoy paying $5 for subway ride, pores.
Right.
Also, this is another thing. I got to just interject. This is where we can say, attacking rightfully Wisconsin and Walker for the Foxconn deal, and then a certain type of corporate-leaning liberal reveals it's like, oh, it's just the sort of brand identification. Like Foxconn is down market, Amazon's upscale market, but either way, you're just luring predatory
Right.
corporations with our money.
Right. And and so there is a shift, though, because a year ago or 6 months ago, there was really not a heck of a lot necessarily that you could bring to bear. I mean, of course, that people will react and this and that, but now there's actually something that can be operable. Democratic Assemblyman Ron Kim announced that he's going to introduce legislation to slash New York's economic development subsidies and use the money to buy up and cancel student debt.
Dab on them haters.
It would halt any Cuomo administration offer of taxpayer money to Amazon. And here's the implications of the past election. There's a real opportunity for this legislation to pass and to force Andrew Cuomo to start making the decisions, the uncomfortable decisions that he never wanted to make, which is why he supported and midwifed the so-called IDC, which is basically a way of throwing the Senate to Republicans, even though more Democrats had been elected in New York.
I'm sorry, just one fact check. I believe his name is Amazon Cuomo now.
Amazon Cuomo. Kwamazan. Oh, Andrew Amazon.
I am Amazon. I am the real estate industry. I am a Wall Street bank that wants anything, anytime, anywhere, any place.
Now, I mean, you have to look at the sort of the way that everything is building upon each other. When AOC comes out and says, we need to, put more stringent requirements on Amazon. We can't do this big tax giveaway. My constituents are very concerned that this is going to drive people out of the neighborhood. And of course it will, right? I mean, if you force Amazon to hire the people who already live in that area, that's one thing. But of course, they're not going to do that. They're going to bring in more people. They're going to increase the pressure on housing. They're going to raise the rents for everybody around there. It's going to drive people out of Long Island City. And it's going to cost the taxpayer $1 billion to do so. And so when she starts being critical of this, it gives cover for a guy like Ron Kim. He may have done it. Maybe he wouldn't have done it without her, I'm sure. But the bottom line is it just increases the pressure and raises expectations. And that's what has to happen across the board. Let's go to the phone.
Also, there's this report, which maybe we'll get to more later, but I'm just seeing now from The Independent. And this is, I guess this is already well dated, unfortunately, but there was a revealed in 2013, Amazon used neo-Nazi guards to keep immigrant workforce under control in Germany. So just another factoid on
Wow.
Amazon.